Alright, I've got the camera pointed at to where the first puddle starts up in this neighborhood. Whatever kind of rainfall we get, whether it's a short downfall or a cloud burst, whether it's an overnight rain, or whether it's a 100-year storm. Where the camera is pointed is where the puddle first starts. And I've got a video of a storm that blew through early in September or late in August. It was a 20-minute storm, and the puddle started there. I'll show you the video later, and it grew to the size of a lake. Now I'm going to pan up to the property line. Okay, I have the property line centered. Okay, I just went out and stood on the property line. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to scrape all the top rock back. I have a level over there, and I'm going to take the level of the bottom of this puddle right here, right there. I'm going to take that level and I'm going to dig a ditch that is lower than that level all the way to my property line, or until I get to a spot lower than this spot along that property line. If I reach a spot lower than that spot along the property line, I'm going to quit. Now I'm going to have a level here. When I scrape this back, I have to cut the tree to be able to clear it underneath to get space so I can scrape my line back to measure to find out where the lower spot is than here, because right now I have no outflow to the golf course. In the last storm we had 3 days ago or 4 days ago, the 100-year storm, the 3 or 4 inch storm, if you look directly out, and there's other videos, there's a big cavern, a crevice that was carved from water that ran off my neighbor's lot to the left onto the golf course. That isn't the case here. I've got high ground between me and the golf course. We have to have a 200-year storm before that water will ever get high enough to breach this crest. Right where that bush is, between the bush and that tree, the little bush, the palm tree and the tree, is a crest, a high ground that traps the water between these two houses, and it doesn't allow it onto the golf course. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to trim that bush back about 6 inches. I'm going to scrape that topsoil back. I'm going to get my level out and find out where I have to dig to, how far along this property line I have to dig to toward the golf course to find a spot that's lower than here. And that's where I'm on a trench, so all the water has a chance to get out of here. When Woody Skelton was here last year after they dug the ditch, he told me this was my property. I could do anything I wanted to it. Well, I don't feel like being a water mule anymore and retaining it, no matter what kind of storm, and you will see that later in other videos. No matter what kind of storm, within a half an hour of the storm starting, I've got a puddle here. There's no other puddle anyplace else. The new trench doesn't have puddles. Nobody else has puddles. My neighbor to the left, whose yard is graded toward my yard, doesn't have puddles. My yard is the flattest, lowest yard in parcel 12. You're looking, that spot right here is the lowest spot in parcel 12. Everything is funneled to here. That's why they put a crest between me and those rocks out there, me and the for sale sign, where we're standing right now, to keep that water in here. And the purpose of this bush right here is camouflage. So if anybody comes up and from the golf course and looks in, they can't see that puddle of water there, or the depression. This serves no purpose for my neighbors, none. They can't see it from their windows. They can't see it from their patios. They're never here. They spend about 2 months a year here along with their timeshare guests. All right? But I'm going to trim that plant back right now, and I've got a camera on me, and I've told you my intention. They're growing that tree into my space. Nobody's doing anything about it. I've tried to work inside the system and tell you all about this thing, the the formation of a puddle here, and nobody's doing anything about it. So I'm going to attempt to. Now, to anybody that thinks what I did was excessive, you got to remember this is one of the wettest spots in parcel 12. The last time they took this tree out about 2 years ago, the root went down about a foot, ran a foot all the way over to here, and went straight down into the wettest part. That taproot was about, what, 15 feet long, maybe longer, but it ran horizontal just under the rocks all the way from that tree. And I'm sure the other one does the same thing. The taproot is right there. That's the wettest spot. Now, if you think this is excessive what I trimmed, we're in the wettest time of the year. Everybody admits they've never seen the desert this wet. All right? Within a week, I'm going to have to trim it again. Okay? So if you think I'm being excessive, and this is my space. Right here, I'm standing in my space. Okay? Now I'm going to rake the rocks back, and we're going to start measuring to find a spot lower than right there. Thank you very much. I'm standing is 4 inches higher than the low spot between the houses where the puddle starts. What I intend to do is cut a ditch and stay below that low spot so the water can get out of my yard and head out to the golf course. That spot where the stand is 4 inches below. There's 8-inch difference. 8 inches difference between here and that pole, the bottom of that pole right there. Okay? I have to dig down to where I'm like about 6 inches down from where I am right now, to where I can get positive runoff out of my yard. So I think that's going to be the first thing I do, is dig a hole and get 6 inches down. Then I'm going to connect the two. That way the lake won't be able to grow that way. The lake will grow this way. It won't be growing toward my patio. The lake, when it grows, it'll grow this way. And hopefully it'll cut a channel right down through there. Okay, this is where the puddle starts. You can see I've taken and raked the top rocks back. Where you see the end of that excavation, just past the bush. The surface there is 4 inches above this spot. 21 feet, it rises 4 inches. Then in about 15 feet, it drops 8 inches. Where that pole is out there, that's 8-inch drop from there. What I'm going to try to do in the next couple of days is get a ditch dug where I got positive drop from this point all the way out to there. And where you see the end of that scraping, I want it to be 6 inches deeper than it is right now. That means it'll be a 2-inch drop over 21 feet. And that'll keep the lake from forming here and get the water moving toward the golf course.